was in her apartment. In February, documents showed that Renee Clark warned authorities that Phillip was dangerous and asked for a protection from abuse order, but a judge denied it. In her protection from abuse request, Renee detailed drunken threats of abuse and murder by Phillip Clark, leading many to question why her request was denied.
In his denial, the judge wrote that the statute for protection orders does not apply to a spouse's sibling, in this case, Phillip Clark. So Christina Rex is here to break down what that means. Christina?
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, we actually looked into that exact statute, and the statute for protection from abuse order in Maine applies to family or household members. That includes spouses, former spouses, parents of the same child, or people living in the same household. Since Phillip Clark lived in the same building but technically a different household from Renee, the judge denied her request for protection. Now, in the wake of deaths like Renee Clark's, we tend to look at what we as a society could have done to prevent a crime. Would a protection from abuse order have stopped this alleged murder?
As far as I can see, it didn't do anything at all.
Sandy Goulet of Casco had a protection from abuse order against her ex-boyfriend, Norman Strobel.
Things were escalating. He was out of control.
She says the court order made no difference and didn't stop Strobel from going on a drunken rampage, trying to find Sandy until he was shot and killed by police in November 2016. Before Strobel could find her, he shot and injured her daughter's fiance and shot and killed his own roommate.
I just worry about them every day. I wake up and that's all I think about. You know, nothing's back to normal.
In the year and a half since that shooting that changed Sandy's life, she's become an advocate, testifying in Augusta on behalf of domestic violence victims. Her message: court orders aren't enough.
The abuser, if they've got a will, they'll find a way.
More than 6,000 Mainers requested protection orders in 2012. It's a tactic that domestic violence experts say is a valuable step to recognizing and preventing abuse.
When the protection from abuse order statute was being contemplated and designed, it was in direct response to victims of abuse saying, listen, I don't really want to have the police arrest my partner. I just want my partner to stop abusing me.
Sandy Goulet says when abusers go too far, that court order is useless. She's not sure of the solution. Ankle bracelets, maybe, or more action by police when protection orders are in place.
Not waiting till the night of the shooting, after the shooting took place, and then pinging his phone. I constantly was looking over my shoulder all the time when he wasn't in jail.
So obviously every situation in this case is totally different, and Sandy even admits, she can't speak for every survivor of domestic abuse, but she says she does want to see more action taken with these protection orders.
Well, it's scary because you feel like if you go to the courthouse and you get a protection order, that's supposed to protect you.
Make you safe.
Right. But there are obviously, as we've seen so many times, just a lot of loopholes and ways around it if somebody really has bad intentions.
And some may say it's just a piece of paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Christina, thank you very much. Meanwhile, state police have arrested a man charged with killing a woman in front of her 11-year-old twins. The suspect is 76-year-old Albert Flick. He's now in jail. He'll appear in court on Wednesday. The victim is 48-year-old Kimberly Dobby. She had just started a load of laundry at a laundromat in Lewiston when police say she was attacked.
President Trump met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Finland today. It was the first ever official summit between the two leaders. Putin said so-called Russian interference in the 2016 election did not happen. Finland has a long legacy of hosting U.S.-Russian summits because of its location and perceived neutrality.
Your driver's license will no longer be suspended because of unpaid fines. A new state law says the state won't automatically suspend your license if you don't pay fines unrelated to driving. The American Civil Liberties Union of Maine says courts can instead garnish your wages or order community service.
Okay, right now there are volunteers and marine biologists working around the clock just about to rescue marine mammals in Maine, like seals.
Oh, little seals. They've been busier than ever, though, because the last 2 years, and thanks to a new rehab facility in Harpswell, they're able to help seals get back into their natural habitat.
But they still don't know what's causing the uptick in mammals that need to be rescued.
So we haven't given her a name yet.
The tiniest of seal pups is one of 3 getting nursed back to health at the Marine Mammals of Maine Rehabilitation Facility in Harpswell. It's the only place of its kind in Maine.
I was not sure if she was going to make it because she is very small for her age.
This harbor seal, or Peanut as they call her, was rescued in May in Surrey. And this is 108. She was rescued earlier this month.
She is on antibiotics, but she does feel well enough to eat fish.
Linda Dowdy is the executive director of Marine Mammals of Maine. She says they help all marine mammals, but most often they care for seals. She says this time of year is typically busy with newly born seal pups on the move. But in the last week, they've made 20 rescues. At this time last year, they had rescued 30. This year, 53.
This year they've been coming in a little tougher shape, so we're not sure why that is, and maybe we won't know for months down the road, but we do take samples and look at diagnostics of these animals too for screenings to kind of monitor. So we really look at ocean health, and this is one of the ways that we do that.
Marine Mammals of Maine relies on its team of volunteers to respond to rescue calls up and down the coast between Kittery and Rockland. Volunteers like Julie Willette.
I just feel like I'm really trying to do my part, even if one seal at a time. I feel it makes a difference.
Captain Kyle Jacobs of the Elizabeth Grace out of House Island witnessed a seal rescue effort on the 4th of July.
I definitely say I've seen it throughout the years.
But for the team at Marine Mammals, they've been responding to a higher than average amount of calls. And it could take some time before they have a clear indication as to why.
Now, for more about what to do if you spot a seal, because it could just be hanging out, there might not be any trouble there, or to learn about becoming a volunteer, just visit our website and our mobile app.
Just reaffirms that I want to have a seal someday. They're so cute.
I thought your house was maxed out.
It's like the only pet I don't have.
I know, that's literally what you said to me this morning when I told you what I was doing.
Okay, so this morning I woke up and I'm like, oh, really? Another cloudy, ugh. And then all of a sudden it's like,
yeah, what a turn of events.
I agree with you, Lindsay. He doesn't need any more mammals,
no
humans.
More living creatures of any kind.
Whatever, nothing. You're maxed out. You already have to move once. Let's just cut it off, okay? All right, anyways, high temperatures today. We got pretty warm in spots. 89 in Freiburg, 84 in Lewiston. Much cooler, though, no surprise along the coastline. As Lee mentioned, some fog this morning held temperatures down, at least for the first half of the day. Dew point's juicy in the 60s in most spots, upper 60s, near 70 in Sanford. So not quite like that run that we had a couple of weeks ago. Remember, we got those dew points in the upper 70s, but still, this is real sticky air for northern New England. That's how it'll stay overnight tonight. Tonight should be fine. We are watching this cloud bank. Look at that, flirting back and forth with the coast. It sunk away, came back a little bit over the mid-coast and over southern coastal Maine. So tonight, no problems. Tomorrow is a very, very humid day as well. And the first couple of hours are fine. However, by midday tomorrow, we've got some thunderstorms rolling through, and some of those will likely be pretty nasty through the afternoon and early evening as they move from the mountains into the coastline. So guys, we'll talk more about that. Could be a severe weather threat tomorrow, but it will launch us into a nice stretch after that.
All right, Casey, looking forward to that. All right, so you've probably heard this saying, right? Life is better at the beach.
Yes.
If not, you have now. Now there's some scientific proof. Keith, listen, scientific proof. The ocean makes us happier.
We should keep track of how many times Keith says the word science every day. Okay, I digress. A recent study finds people who live along the coast have better physical and mental health than those who don't. Other research shows people in homes with ocean views tend to feel more calm. But why are the sand and surf scenes so relaxing? Scientists say watching and listening to the ocean actually changes the frequency of our brain waves, putting us into a mild meditative state. Very cool. Are you snoozing because the ocean's right there?
Yeah, I heard the waves.
Gotcha. Okay, just checking. Well, there's a baby boom, not at Goldberg's house, but going on at a hospital in North Carolina among the hospital staff. 6 nurses are all expecting this year.
That's unbelievable. Mallory Lane talked to the women about how they're balancing their work and all of those pregnancies.
Katie, Emily, Nikki, Sabrina, Nina, and Bethany are apparently known as the fabulous six-pack among patients in the Comprehensive Cancer Center at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center. They're bumping along with their daily responsibilities as nurses. While some of them were planning to get pregnant, having it happen all around the same time was a big surprise. Nina Day was first to share the news. She's due at the end of this month.
Each time that we found out that somebody else was pregnant, it's like, well, who's the next one? Yeah. So it was exciting to find out, well, is there more? Is there somebody else?
Assistant Nurse Manager Katie Carlton says after number 5, she figured there would be one more.
So Sabrina made the comment to me. She said, well, if you're 4 weeks behind me, then we could do it all together. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Then it happened. I was actually here, and all of them were the first ones to know. So it was exciting, because it's just, you see these people every day of your life, and they're part of your family. And now they're your pregnant buddies.
A sisterhood especially important for the 2 first-time moms of the group.
I have a lot of anxiety. Like I'm going to worry about everything. So to keep from making my husband go crazy, I just talk about my issues here, and they make me feel a lot better.
And don't worry, there are provisions in place to make sure patient care is never compromised while these women are out on maternity leave.
And all of the nurses are somewhere between 18 and 37 weeks pregnant.
All right, so some have some time to go. Okay, still to come on now, one Maine family is in the middle of doing something that most people only dream about.
Yeah, from one state to the next state to the next state, the Nickersons are on the adventure of a lifetime. We will explain.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
I know,
kids.
what's going on?
What's going on over there?
I want to say something really quickly. I actually, at the top of the show, when I said the paper comment, I actually hadn't even seen our comments yet. I didn't see that Alicia had said that. And I would say, so she says, a protection order is just a piece of paper. Do yourself a favor and get a gun and learn how to shoot it. I will say self-protection, I think is a big reason why people who do go and apply for firearms and go through that procedure and through the steps. I think, recreation aside, protection is maybe another reason why people do have firearms.
Well, and to kind of expand on the point with Christina, it's frustrating, or can be frustrating, because there is a system in place. You are supposed to go through the proper channels, and you're not just supposed to grab a gun and sit there and wait for someone to come get in and shoot. I mean, I understand the right to do that, and there's in some places that's really valuable, but there is a system in place, and you're supposed to be able to go to the courthouse because you feel like you have a legitimate fear and get a protection order or protection from abuse order, and then you are supposed to be protected. So the system is there.
You just
the
had this
system's
one
just
comment
not
here that I
working
just
very well
talked about.
Because it's really hard to enforce those. Law enforcement certainly can't drive around all the time, always looking to see if anybody is within 500 feet of the person they're not supposed to be within 500 feet of. And by the time somebody breaks the PFA and they just go ahead and do what they're going to do anyway, now you're retroactive.
What does PFA stand for?
Protection from abuse.
Oh, from abuse.
So now you're acting retroactively to something that's already happened. So you're not really protecting them, you're just reacting after it happened. So really, if you think about it, if somebody really wanted to abuse somebody, they would do it with or without a piece of paper stopping them, and they're still going to get arrested for it whether there was a PFA or not. So why do we have them?
It'll probably be too late. In response to the get a gun or comment, I didn't get to include this in my story, but Sandy, who was in my story, was actually signed up to buy and take a shooting class the day after
no kidding.
That shooting rampage, and that was just a coincidence. She had signed up because she felt that things were escalating with her abuser, and she wanted to be protected. Unfortunately, it was quite literally a day too late, but I didn't get to include her soundbite, but she did say, like, all she can recommend is any security measures you can take personally.
Right, and just being aware of your surroundings, I think, is a huge thing.
Yeah. All right, bye.
And she did say that. She said she's always looking over her shoulder. Sad. I love where we're going with this. Imagine selling everything, quitting your job, and hitting the road to see what's out there.
Right? I mean, it's reality for one Wyndham family that you're about to meet the Nickersons, who took some time to chat today from Alaska. The adventure of a lifetime. Last fall, they sold their home and most of their belongings, bought an RV, and hit the road. Destination? Everywhere.
All right, let's do this. Let's go already.
Corey and Jess saved money for a couple of years so that a trip like this could be possible someday. That someday is now. Part of the inspiration for this adventure came when Jesse's father, Keith, passed away after battling ALS for 7 years.
He never got his someday. Someday he'd go do this, someday he would be able to travel, and that's kind of where our Finding Our Someday name came from, so that we'd be able to kind of do what he never got to do.
The Nickersons don't have a blueprint for this trip nor an end date. They literally go one day at a time. The kids are being homeschooled on the road, as they have always been, and this family of 4 spends a lot of time together in very close quarters.
It wasn't a huge change for us to like be together all the time, I guess, as it would be for maybe some other families.
We're used to being around each other. Even before this.
It doesn't mean it's always easy, but we're learning a lot, and it's been so fun. There's
always the outside of the camper.
And the Nickersons have been chronicling their entire amazing journey on the internet, of course. So if you'd like to follow along, search for Finding Our Someday on Instagram, or you can check it out on findingoursomeday.com. Your eyes lit up during that story. Are you leaving? Are you trying to tell me something?
I'm not leaving, but there was a show I watched as a kid, The Wild Thornberrys, where they did just that. And this is it. That's them. They're the Wild Thornberrys.
Well, they're the Nickersons, but okay. I get what you mean.
You get where I'm going.
All right.
All right, rain and storms are in the forecast for tomorrow.
Keith Carson's going to come back, like it or not, with your weather for the rest of the week.
Literally homeschooled the kids on the road. They went around in this RV, and that was like the whole thing, was learning about the world. And now there's even a Netflix documentary about a family that does this, and they go surfing everywhere, and they literally live off the ocean. Like, they fish for their food, and they're so fit and fabulous, and goals.
I know. So, I mean, so in talking with them, I mean, there's literally no schedule. So it's not like, oh, we have to do this on this day and this day. They don't have to do anything on any day. They're just kind of driving along. They're stopping along the way wherever they feel like it. Mm-hmm. They are being followed by a lot of people on social media. So people are reaching out to them saying, hey, when you come through my town, make sure you stop and say hi. So they're stopping at strangers' homes and helping out people on far. They stopped in Wyoming. They were supposed to stop for a day. It ended up being like a 9-day stop because they know they can do what they want. They stayed with this family on the farm, and the kids learned how to raise pigs like just all these life adventures and life lessons that you would never get. Now they have friends for life in Wyoming. I mean, who thought, right? So it's really amazing.
So much more than you could ever learn in a classroom. It's like and I bet you they're doing more work because they're being schooled it's summer vacation right now for most kids, but being homeschooled, you know.
And they've always been homeschooled, so that part of it's not new for them.
Yeah.
But I think part of me wishes I could do that.
Right.
I feel like I could never do that. Like, just the safety net of not having a home to go back to.
Right. Well, you like
not
a plan.
having jobs to go back to.
You like having a
That's
plan.
not in my DNA.
Yeah.
So.
I give a lot of credit to those who
I
can
look
do
at them
it.
and I see their pictures. I'm like, wow, you guys it's unbelievable what them and their children are getting to experience.
Well, listen, you can attest to this too. I mean, before you decided to call News Center Maine home for as long as you have, you did travel around the country a little bit. And don't you think like you learn a lot about just people and humanity in general when you live in another place, when you move away from your comfort zone?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think there's really something to be said about that. Okay, enough of me ranting.
What's up, Maddie? My little goddaughter.
Aww. I know, Joe, I feel really bad too. That's a sad story.
I was trying to hook up with Maddie yesterday at the playground, but she was
Oh, hey,
busy.
Marvin. Marvin, are you watching from Peoria?
Marvin.
Marvin.
Let's go, Marvin.
Marvin, do me a favor and get a Portillo's cake shake, because I miss it.
What is that?
Portillo's is like Chicago-style hot dogs and Italian beef sandwiches.
No, what is a cake shake?
Oh, a cake shake is a milkshake with a cake in it. Well, a frap. All right, they're giving back in the best way they know how. The National Association of Landscape Professionals is helping out at Arlington National Cemetery, and the service project hits close to home for many volunteers.
Yeah, a handful of those volunteers are actually right here in Maine, Portland to be exact. Nikki Carvajal has our story.
Arlington National Cemetery, a place of remembrance, hallowed ground that serves as comfort for those who have lost.
Arlington Cemetery is already beautiful, so we're here to participate, do what we can to make it look better.
For the past 22 years, landscape professionals have been making an annual pilgrimage to volunteer their expertise at Arlington. They're taking care of irrigation systems, keeping the grass healthy, building where they need to. For dozens of workers, it's just one day in a lifetime of service.
There will no doubt be a moment at some point in time where it'll really hit me.
Roger Phelps spent 8 years in the Navy. He's here honoring a classmate lost on 9/11, letting him know he's not forgotten.
He was in one of the planes that went into the Pentagon, and that'll be hard. But hey, we live on, and that's the other part of the story.
There are about 400 volunteers on the grounds of Arlington today from all over the country, and some of them are using it as an opportunity to learn about sacrifice and what that means.
Do I remember my time in the military? Yes.
The landscapers are passing it on to the next generation.
Okay, we'll push down the dirt like that. Yes, exactly.
Honoring the sacrifices of the past, but also looking to the future.
Seeing all the kids out there today, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like our country's going in the right direction.
A day of service for those who served, to give back to those who gave everything. Nikki Carvajal, NBC News, Arlington, Virginia.
What a sweet story.
That was
there.
pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're landscaping, work outside, this is the kind of weather you like.
Much more than the 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, 4th of July week. That stuff is kind of, because they're wearing pants most of the time. You can't just suddenly, be wearing shorts out there. But this weather, not bad. A little bit humid. We have some thunderstorms tomorrow, and I think we have a severe weather threat, which we don't get a ton in northern New England. But here, look at the high temperatures where we get to almost 90 in Freiburg, 78 in Portland, though. Along the coastline, much cooler as we did deal with some fog earlier in the day. That fog bank still flirting around a little bit. Dew points really high in the mid and upper 60s, which is squarely in that uncomfortable range, almost to oppressive. And you'll notice that if you're outside for any period of time. So we messed with the fog a lot this morning. We got rid of it, and then watch it try to return there in the afternoon. And it's done so over the mid-coast and some of the islands here, trying to get swept away finally by this little disturbance coming through. But the fog will likely come back tonight in most coastal locations, and we'll have a hard time burning it off tomorrow morning. So the fog bank represented here by this light colored cloud, you can see it thicken up by midnight and push pretty far inland. Now typically when you've got a lot of clouds and fog in the morning, that doesn't really make for a very big severe weather day. You can't destabilize the atmosphere. But I think the dynamics are good enough with this front that despite that lack of sunshine in the morning, these showers and thunderstorms that develop late morning, early afternoon, and then drive through later in the day could be strong to severe, and I think there'll be a pretty good line of them moving all the way to the coastline 4 or 5 o'clock and then ending during the early evening before we clear out. So the Storm Prediction Center has actually upped our risk a little bit here into the not moderate level, but the marginal level, if you will, and then there's still a threat here along the coastline as well. Hail and gusty winds is what we're watching for. As far as timing goes, it looks like it'll be right around noon in the mountains, 3, 4 o'clock here along the coastline, then waiting until later on in the afternoon and evening over parts of down East Maine. Again, though, some of these storms could have some teeth with them, so we'll keep an eye on that. As is typically the case, though, the air mass change between those nasty storms will mean that it's really nice on the backside. So Wednesday we clear out by mid-morning at the latest. Wednesday afternoon looks good. Thursday looks fantastic. Friday looks really nice. Saturday looks good. And then still some question marks about what happens on Sunday. But hey, it's only Monday, so give me time to work that out. In the meantime, we will be watching those storms. Might have to dust off Stormy and take her out, see what we can find out there tomorrow afternoon. After that, a couple of gems. Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, Friday, all look good. And humidity will be washed away. It's overly simplified to say that these strong thunderstorms are a clash of air masses, but typically some of the stronger ones are between this really humid air and much drier air behind it. So it will be for a good end, but we'll have to watch those storms.
Yeah, especially after what happened last week. I mean, it didn't take long for some serious damage to happen.
And we didn't even have that many then. I think this is more people in the state will see the thunderstorms tomorrow, so the coverage is much higher.
All right, so we'll send you out there.
There's a lot more news coming up ahead at 5:30. Rob Caldwell joins us with a look ahead. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Lee and Lindsay. An arrest has been made in the case of a woman who was fatally stabbed in front of her young children in Lewiston. Albert Flick, who is 76 years old, is now in jail. He's got a date in court on Wednesday. You'll hear from a man who knew the woman who was killed. That man works at a home where she was staying. Also coming up, scientists are concerned about green crabs from Canada making their way to Maine. You'll find out why this more aggressive type of green crab is alarming to researchers. And we'll have the latest on the meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, drawing a lot of criticism even from Republicans. Those stories and more coming up in the next half hour on News Center at 5:30. Now we'll be back after these messages.
Lighting looked really good.
Yeah, it was good.
That shot looked really good.
Good.
That was awesome.
That's good.
Oh, the little things, everybody. The
What's
little
up,
things.
Fred? How are you, buddy?
What's up, guys?
Big Fred, hanging out. Mike, why are you in Winter Haven in the summer? It's got to be hot down there.
I'll tell you what, I'm actually looking forward to getting some, like, a good amount of rain because the amount of pollen and dirt and bugs, dead bugs on my car is atrocious.
You know.
I could get a car wash, but.
Okay. They probably didn't have these in Peoria, but they have these car washy things now. They're brand new, exclusive to Maine, and they will wash the bugs off your car for you.
But you can't get a car wash if rain's in the forecast. It's just against the rules, right?
Some car wash places will offer you a free car wash the next day if it rains within 24 hours of when you got your car wash.
Seriously?
Yeah, keep your receipt.
Okay, okay. So in high school we used to do car washes to raise money for sports, and I was driving through South Portland the other day and a bunch of girls, I think it was girls soccer, they were doing a fundraiser for their team. And I had the back seat rolled down and Tito was in the back seat in his little booster seat. And they were like, oh, he's so cute. And then he goes, like right on cue and growls at them.
Did you get your car washed?
I should have. And that's the thing, I keep replaying this moment over and over in my mind. Like,
I should have. You don't want to support youth in our state?
I didn't have cash on me. I'm a millennial, Lee. I don't carry cash.
Did they take Venmo?
I will.
No.
They don't take Venmo at the kids' car wash?
I don't know. I didn't take Venmo when I was doing car washes. I took change.
Nor will I ever. Nobody has Venmo anymore. It's already old.
I don't think that's true.
That's not true.
There's a new one now.
What's the new one?
No, it's really not happening, though. It's not. I've had 3 people ask me about Venmo. You, and him. No one else in the rest of my entire life has ever even mentioned the word Venmo.
Hi, caramba. How was your weekend?
Yeah,
it's good.
How does that
It's
happen?
good.
One person pays for all of it.
Hey, get over here. Let's go.
Oh, nice of you to join us.
Lee shows up in time. Okay, so this is a visual braindrops. It's pretty cool. I used to work with this guy, and he tweets out some interesting
stuff. Is his last
stuff.
name really Dolce?
Dolce, yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
He's sweet.
I don't think he has the clothing that you're thinking of, but all right, he's circling on the satellite image. This is dust from Africa, for the Sahara more specifically. And this is actually something we look at a lot when we forecast tropical conditions. Let's go to the next graphic here. It's a GIF or a GIF. I don't know. We never figured that debate out.
I think the proper way is GIF.
It is, but I'm not saying it that way because it's wrong. Anyways, watch this go off Africa, go across the Caribbean, and this dust last week actually affected air quality in coastal parts of Texas. And so it does that occasionally. More often what it does is suppress tropical development. So you say you've got a system that looks pretty good, a good disturbance, all of a sudden you're injecting super dry air into something that's warm core and wants to draw moisture out of the ocean. So they look at the dust levels coming off the desert and correlate that to what they think as far as tropical activity. So it's something that within the business a lot of people know about, but I don't know that I've ever mentioned it before. Question? Yes?
Yes. Is there a way to quantify how much dust that has to be in order to be picked up by the radar?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
I don't think you could quantify it as far as like number of particles.
Because
I've seen debris come up with tornadoes on the radar.
Yeah, I mean, you need a lot. Think about it this way. If you see a wildfire, it's about this big on a satellite picture, right? So it's not necessarily the number of particles. It would be more spatially the amount you need to see in satellite. And don't forget, we got the new satellite, so that sees a lot more. You might not have seen this as clearly with old satellite. And this is all colored, enhanced, because it doesn't look quite like that.
Yeah.
IRL, as they say.
That's a big old dust buster. Take care of all that.
I find this stuff interesting. I don't know. Maybe other people do.
It is fascinating.
I like that one. Cool.
I need time to digest brain drops.
So I'm going to go watch News Center at 5:30 right now.
Straight ahead in this half hour.
We knew enough that